Previously on the Rod Pedersen Show.
We were playing Riders at Argonauts 1999. We had a 2-hour walkthrough in pads the day before the game. Crashing heads at a damn walkthrough the day before the game in Toronto. And, of course, I'm the players, same age as the players. So there I'm out with them the night before the game, and they're telling me how mad they are at Cal that they made him practice for 2 hours in pads in a damn walkthrough at Sky Dome. And, of course, like me, I said it on the air. I think we were getting throttled by the Argos that day. That was the season we were 3-15. We're losing like 47-3 at halftime. And I'm like, I guess that 2-hour walkthrough really did a lot for the guys. We get back to Regina, and I get called into a meeting. I'm just tired of those meetings. Cal Murphy and Al Ford. And Cal Murphy, he had the neck that shook. He just did, okay? Everybody knows. And he's like, who told you that? Who told you? Who said that? Rashovich and who? And I said, I'm not telling you who told me. Thump! And he threw a chair at me that looked just like this. It looked just like this. Yeah. And it went right over my head. Thank God. See, boys? Thank God he was only 26 years of age. I was only 26. He was like 66. And I'm like, whew.
You had the agility.
Yeah. And then he get up and stormed out of the room. I wouldn't tell him. It was Rich Young, the linebacker. Wasn't even Raz. It wasn't even with Raz. And then Al Ford walks by and he's laughing. And he goes, ha, ha, ha. His bark's way worse than his bite. And I'm sitting this 25-year-old farm kid. What just happened? That doesn't happen in hockey. They mentally torture you in hockey. In football, they'll physically destroy you.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
So what was it like coaching the Panthers in the 90s at the old Miami Arena? And he said it was in a bad end of town, and the police told him, when you come to a red light around the arena, don't stop. Keep rolling through because they'll come and steal your car. And he was driving an 86 Toyota Corolla. So he said he came up to a red light, and he didn't stop. He rolled through the red intersection, and some local yelled at him, don't worry, we wouldn't steal that piece of garbage.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Yes, it is. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the RP Show, episode 1428 here on Game Plus Television and streaming live. We've got a really big show for you. We only have the Moose in hour one, not hour two, so let's bring him in now in Toronto because coming up in hour two, the Motor City Madmouth, Scott Morganroth, will be joining us from Super Bowl New Orleans, and Sportsnet anchor Ken Reid will be with us as well. Always looking forward to chat with Ken in the segment 2 of hour 2 from Toronto. Moose, what's up with you today?
Hey, today is good. Today is good. Nothing new, just another day. But you know what? Today, for whatever reason, today's the day where I'm really missing not being at Super Bowl. And I know I didn't go last year, but I've been watching the coverage. Today, I wish I was there.
Are you reading my diary? Boys, hit the quick six show horn. Would you please? Hit the quick six show horn. What we do here every day is we go over the quick six hottest items of the day in sports. We call it the quick six show topics. And that's number one, Placeline New Orleans. Patrick Mahomes treated Super Bowl opening night like a 2-minute drill, providing rapid fire answers to one question after another. Travis Kelce passed on an inquiry about popping the question to Taylor Swift. He just said, next question. Been here, done that. That's how the Chiefs handled the annual extravaganza that kicks off Super Bowl week. The Philadelphia Eagles were here 2 years ago in New Orleans, so they weren't fazed by the silliness Monday night either, though their most dynamic players new to the wild experience that could overwhelm teams that aren't used to the circus atmosphere. Saquon Barkley got his first taste of this made-for-television spectacle. Eagles coach Nick Sirianni received letters and a kiss from Chad Ochocinco Johnson. Jalen Hurts even cracked a smile or two. So it's in my commentary today. You can hear it on Sask Radio. I don't know why the NFL just swings the gate open to thousands of media that come in with very personal, very annoying questions. Like the thing about the Travis Kelce getting engaged to Taylor Swift, not a big deal. But Harrison Butker was asked his opinion on gays. by a reporter, and it's just, what's that got to do with the Super Bowl and football? But then I answer my own question, Darren, in that everybody's talking about it today. And that's got the NFL where it is. So, yeah, silly me. It's just wild, man. Wild what they do.
Isn't it? Really wild. The engagement thing's funny because if you ask Travis Kelce, if I was Travis Kelce, so you're going to do it now? You're going to do it? We're going to get the engagement if you guys win? Well, not anymore, because it's not going to be a surprise because you brought it up. You know, it's like people around the dinner table and your girlfriend is there, your boyfriend or whatever. So going to propose this Christmas? Well, not now, because now it'll feel like I did it because you said it. Now it's not a surprise, you know? So maybe if they win the Super Bowl, he'll do it on some romantic vacation. But I almost guarantee you now it won't be down on the field.
Kevin the Medium writes in, says, good morning, RP peeps. Taco Tuesday is one of my favorite days of the week. He's watching in Calgary, Alberta. John in Edmonton writes in, he says, breaking news. The Rams and Eagles will play a game in Australia next year, 2026. Well, I'll tell you what, you can go to rodpeterson.com right now. There's 10 Super Bowl things running on there. It's the top item. So the 10 biggest things to come out of Super Bowl opening night, Monday night, are all contained there. One of which, well, we're going to get to a few here in the quick six, but Roger Goodell was asked about officials favoring the Chiefs. I can't remember the exact term, Darren, but it was like ridiculous or preposterous. Came up with the Chiefs players, too, and, of course, they all denied it. You knew it wouldn't take long in Super Bowl week that was going to come up. And I guess while we're sitting here, that is the poll question today for our friends at EMJ Marketing. EMJ Marketing will provide the perfect keynote speaker for your event. Contact Joe at emjmarketing.com. Who's going to win Super Bowl 59, the Eagles or the Chiefs? And my vote is for Kansas City. They're favored by 1.5 points, and let's be honest, the video shows they are favored by the officials. So who are you voting for, Moose?
Well, I'm going to write about it. It's going to drop. I guess I'm going to make my official prediction as early as tomorrow, but now I'll do it today for the viewers and scoop myself in the column. I'm voting for the Chiefs, too. I am. I believe in the Eagles. I think this is going to be close, but I have to vote and bet on the Chiefs.
Let me tell you this. So we're both voting for Kansas City. My guess is they will win the poll in 24 hours' time when it's up. But here's another point I had written down before we move on to hockey and various other things. What's your favorite part of Super Bowl week, whether you're there or you're not there? It doesn't matter. And that's to the viewers, too, because I will sit and watch NFL Network or ESPN or whatever network has their guys and gals right there on this and just talking ball around the clock. They don't do it all year, but it's Super Bowl, so they're going to do it during Super Bowl week. I remember back in the day when I was still voice of the Rough Riders hosting talk radio, I was really enthralled with that show Players Only, which I don't think they do anymore. But I was like, wow, we should do a show called Players Only here in the CFL. Then I'm like, wait a minute, then they won't need me. So we didn't do that. But it was Kurt Warner, Eric Dickerson, I think. Do you remember? Do they still do that? I don't think they do.
I don't think so. I haven't seen it. There's a couple, like Inside the NFL, I think is all players, I think, for the most part. That's on the CW now, but no, I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think they do it anymore. You need guys like me and Darren to quarterback the whole thing because the players can't control themselves. Just a fact. Getting in and out of commercials and all the rest. And the other thing is, I'm not seeing any emails from the Ditka and Jaws Super Bowl party, which leads me to believe they're not having it because I went to it in L.A. You dropped me off there in downtown L.A. 3 years ago. How much fun was that? And I get there, and I'm running around going, where's Ditka? Where's Ditka? And they're like, he ain't here. My ticket says Ditka and Jaws. And they're like, yeah, that's just to sell tickets, but Ditka doesn't come to these anymore. He doesn't get around too well. He's advanced age. And I'm like, well, maybe you put another name on here. because that's why I bought the ticket. But I did get to hang with Ron Jaworski and Chris Carter and a bunch of guys. But I'm not getting those emails this year. Did last year for the Vegas Super Bowl, so I'm guessing there. Maybe Jaws and Ditka's cigar event went bye-bye because all good things come to an end. Moving on to point 2, NHL, Adam Gaudette and David Perron each had a goal and an assist, and the visiting Ottawa Senators won their 5th NHL game in a row with a 5-2 decision against the Nashville Predators. Jake Sanderson, Shane Pinto, and Ridley Gregg scored for the Sens. Philip Forsberg and Jonathan Marchessault scored for the Preds, who have lost 5 straight. And while we're talking NHL, U.S. President Donald Trump stuck mostly to sports and avoided discussing tariffs while hosting the Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers at the White House on Monday. The ceremony was delayed nearly an hour as Trump spoke to Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. The Panthers had a customized Trump 45-47 jersey framed for him. I don't know if you saw the ceremony or not. I watched it. Trump mentioned how he's good friends with Vincent Viola, the owner of the Panthers. And Vinny was standing there. He didn't shake his head or grimace. So maybe they are good friends. Wouldn't surprise me if they are. Trump's like, I watched those games. And they had some close calls. And I'm like, did he really watch? Might have. It was on Valley Sports Florida. He would get it in West Palm at Mar-a-Lago. He probably was watching the games. But anyways, the Senators and the Panthers Stanley Cup ceremony. Those were the highlights Monday of the NHL, Moose. Would you agree?
Yeah, they were, and we saw lots of that ceremony, and I know fans will, agree or disagree with the Panthers going or some players or certain things. But you know what? It's just part of it, and let them do what they do. And forget about the tariffs for a second. We can separate sports and politics, but then back on the ice, we'll get booing on the American anthem and all the rest, and life will go on. But yeah, it was a really, really quiet night in the NHL, and that's okay as Super Bowl is kind of taken over the week.
I'll tell you what, there is no one formula how to do it. I'm talking about the Senators having won 5 in a row. The Ottawa Senators, they're now 3rd place in the Atlantic Division. The Tampa Bay Lightning have slipped out of a playoff spot, and I had them picked to miss the playoffs this year, the Bolts. But it really is a case study and a culture shift, especially in Ottawa. They got the new owner, Michael Landlauer. And I've never met Steve Staios, the general manager. I've never met him. He's the GM, right? Dave Poulin's been on this show many times, the assistant GM. Travis Green, the head coach. We know him from the WHL, both playing and coaching. They swept everybody out, even sold the team. It's a little Washington Commanders-ish, isn't it? What's going on with the Ottawa Senators? It can happen, folks. And speaking of, by the way, with all that, the Panthers standing there, meeting the president, bringing the Stanley Cup, Vincent Viola, the owner, standing there. I can say this about a culture of the Florida Panthers. Everybody that works for that team is happy. They are. You can't fake that stuff. I see it every game. From the ushers to the PR people to the players, obviously. The popcorn vendors, they're all happy. That comes from the top. So what do you think about the Sens culture change? You're fairly close to it now.
Yeah, the culture change for sure. It just seems like there is a positive culture around the Ottawa Senators, and that's a really good thing. And we talked about the young core. There was so much promise and potential. And when was this young core going to mature? And if they all matured together and that happened, it was going to come fast. And to be honest, it didn't really happen at the beginning of the year, but it's happened midway through this season where things have started to shift. The culture's changed. Those players have matured, and all of a sudden they're winning a lot of games. And what did I see? I think they're 2 points back of the Toronto Maple Leafs now, which is kind of recreating maybe a potential battle of Ontario. It's really fun what's gone on in Ottawa here the last few months.
Hey, rewinding the poll question for a second, viewer Carlos writes in and he says, whose victory would make for a better storyline, KC or Philly? I think you know, Carlos. Carlos, is that a trick question? By far, it's the Kansas City Chiefs winning their 3rd Super Bowl in a row. Because when the Eagles won it a few years ago under Doug Pedersen, that was their first in franchise history, and that was a hell of a story. They don't have that story going for them anymore. And if you remember, Darren, going into the NFL season, we talked with our viewers, all the polls, everybody said that's the number one story. Can the Chiefs three-peat, be the first team in the Super Bowl era to do it? That's the better storyline. Kansas City winning Don't you agree?
It is. But the one thing about sports that I love is no matter who wins, it's going to be a great storyline. And if Philadelphia wins, it wasn't that long ago, Nick Sirianni was like going to get run out of Philadelphia. Doesn't know what he's doing, can't manage the clock. And there's all these issues. And does he know? And turns out some of the players really love him. And Saquon Barkley's at the top of that list. And his story, from New York and then coming over to Philadelphia and the season that he had and finally getting into a Super Bowl. And then if he wins one, that's a great story in and of itself. And then you got A.J. Brown, who's reading his, philosophical book on the sidelines and his quotes in there. So there's great storylines no matter what. But if I had to pick, the Chiefs is much better.
Again, off the top of hour 2, we're assuming we'll be joined by Scott Morganroth, the publisher of the South Florida Tribune, live from New Orleans. He has offered and booked the time. I just haven't heard back. We sent him the link to click in. We just haven't heard back from Scotty Slapper. I think he's having just too much fun in the Big Easy. That's what it is. I don't think he's out of bed yet. But that's off the top of hour 2. So when we say that we're live from Super Bowl, we are with the Motor City Madmouth Scott Morganroth. By the way, point 3, we're only to point 3. NFL trade news, 6-time Pro Bowler and 2023 Defensive Player of the Year, Myles Garrett, has requested a trade from the Browns, who drafted him first overall in 2017. And Cooper Kupp said via Twitter that the Rams are working to trade him immediately and doesn't seem too happy about it. In that tweet, which our IKS staff alerted me to, he said that he envisions staying in L.A. forever, with a photo of him and his wife or girlfriend hugging on the field after they won the Super Bowl. I don't know how many times they need to see it, Darren, that we are in this era of expect the unexpected. No matter who you are in sports, life, I guess, expect the unexpected. Back in the day, you kind of stayed with that team for as long as you wanted. Father Time's undefeated. Eventually, they had to tap you on the shoulder and say, we're not offering you a contract. You're done. But that's not the case anymore. 1, 2, 3 years max in one place, and you're gone. Myles Garrett stayed probably longer than any of us would have expected him to. You just realize the Browns are a grease fire at sports now, man. I'm shocked the players are surprised.
I know. And with Myles Garrett, it was a good situation when he was there at the beginning. And there was a lot of, hype around the Cleveland Browns. They were on the way up, and there was, playoffs, and there was an opportunity for them to contend. People thought they were going to contend and continue to move forward. Now it's not great at all. And he sees this as, a sinking ship he needs to get off of. They're hampered by contracts. They haven't made the playoffs, and they've got one of the worst cap situations in the NFL projected for this coming offseason. So it's not going to get better. It's not like they're going to be able to go out and sign players and make this team better and get back to the playoffs. They're stuck with what they've got. So it's either Deshaun Watson or Jameis Winston and whatever else they're left with. And Myles Garrett's like, I'm out. I'd love to move somewhere else. And, that would help their cap situation for sure. So I'm sure they're willing to listen and make something happen, but just not a good situation in Cleveland. And it wasn't that many years ago. It looked really good.
I'm stunned. The day they acquired Deshaun Watson and gave him, what was it, $235 million guaranteed, I would have said, I'm out. Check, please. We'll be back with more of the warm-up in a moment. We're live on Game Plus Television, streaming live and podcasts wherever the best podcasts are found.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit. As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hey, honey, can you get one of the kids to show me how this Twitter thing works? Honey, I need to get on Instagram. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
February 4th and minus $1 million, but we have some CFL news for you on this Tuesday. American Keon Hatcher Sr.'s on the receiving end of a restructured contract with the BC Lions and will return for a 5th season with the CFL club. He was limited to just 11 games last year with an Achilles injury, but he was all Canadian in 2023. Canadian Tavon Campbell is back with the Saskatchewan Roughriders, the 6-foot, 200-pound corner. Re-signed with the CFL team Monday following 6 seasons in the NFL. He's from Toronto, but played university with the Regina Rams. And there's news today. The Saskatchewan Roughriders have signed former Calgary backup Tommy Stevens. I see Twitter is ablaze with that, but it's like, come on, guys. He is a backup. I don't feel that anybody should get too excited about that. Again, former Stampeders backup Tommy Stevens. Maybe, I guess, one man's used items are another man's treasure. Agree or disagree, Moose?
But didn't they sign their starting quarterback, former, to back up Trevor Harris? And this is the backup to the backup, or potentially a training camp body, which you kind of want to reserve for a young arm. Maybe Tommy Stevens can be a short yardage. I don't know. Not going to be an impact, but okay. Interesting signing, I guess. And the other one, I saw Eugene Lewis to the Ottawa Red Blacks potentially coming down. That's exciting too. Good for him. I know, hey, he's been great in Montreal, and he was really good in Edmonton again, but now goes to Ottawa. I think he'll be great there too. No reason to think he won't.
We got our NHL breakaway bets coming up before the end of hour one, because if all goes according to schedule, Moose will be done after hour one, and we'll be going to Super Bowl. The Motor City Madmouth Scott Morganroth will be with us from New Orleans, which, by the way, On the poll for EMJ marketing, 54% of respondents think the Kansas City Chiefs will win Super Bowl 59, but that's way fewer than I thought there would be, given that they're going for the three-peat. By the way, I said earlier, my favorite part of Super Bowl is watching the coverage and just the guys and gals sitting in the armchairs around the carpet, just talking ball. It's my favorite. Did you say what your favorite part of Super Bowl week is? Can't remember.
No, and honestly, my favorite being, at home and not at Super Bowl is exactly that. You know, watching the NFL Network, watching Dan Patrick with his set from Super Bowl, watching that coverage I love. But being at Super Bowl, what I loved about Super Bowl week with you and being in LA was waking up, having a cup of coffee in the hotel lobby or wherever we were, and just the people around and all their jerseys and stuff. And then it's, what are we going to do today? Downtown NFL experience, walking around, going into the DraftKings party. Everything just feels special walking around on Super Bowl week. So that's what I loved about it, just that morning cup of coffee and all that was ahead.
Anybody who says that Super Bowl is just for the rich or don't go, it's just like a trade show, couldn't be further from the truth. The NFL fan experience is free. Probably a long lineup to get in there, but that's life. And they brought that experience to the Grey Cup this year in Vancouver, and everybody thought it was great. So you can't believe all of what you hear, right? Rich in Edmonton says Myles Garrett and Max Crosby, both in silver and black. A guy can dream, can't he? I think anything's on the table with the Vegas Raiders and Myles Garrett. Tony from Cochrane says, I'm ticked at the Stampeders as well, but now Myles Garrett wants out of Cleveland too. Wow, both my football teams are dumpster fires. Let's go Blue Jays. Well, again, championships aren't won in February, I don't think. Oh, Dave writes in from Winnipeg, Dave number 2, and he says, Kenny Lawler is going to Hammer Town. So let me just say this. We didn't get into it as much yesterday as I would have liked. I put it in my commentary on Monday. The fact the players aren't staying really longer than 1 year in any league, the CFL is getting hammered on for that, but it's happening in every league. I don't really have a problem with it. Clearly, the teams don't. I don't. Do you?
I mean, I don't have a problem with players moving or teams. I don't have a problem with why players or teams are doing it. But I don't like it. Like, I want players to stay with teams because the identity is what's going to build the brand and build the teams and build the fan base and build the leagues. I think it's good for the leagues when your stars stay in one place. I really do. But I don't think it's a bad thing to go and, hey, if they're not going to commit to me, why would I commit to them? I need to go and make sure I'm taken care of. Like, you have to respect that players need to get paid. And the way the business is, it doesn't, not working for them to stay in one place and take less money. It's just not.
Well, it's unbelievably, you got to admire and the coaches are doing the same thing, even more so in the NHL. The assistant coaches, they're rotating around like a carousel. What that does for to your family and to your own, that's got to be frightening. But it's the way that it is. And I guess I'm just getting used. You're right about the brand building, but the teams just don't seem to care about that because what do they say? The team brand is bigger than the players. And they've always said that.
Yeah, and you say that too. And the other thing I think about that I don't think necessarily the players are thinking about, and this is what a balancing act between, hey, making sure I'm taken care of and then thinking about a future that's not guaranteed or promised. If you're bouncing around from team to team to team and you don't really build a connection with a market, what does that do to life after football? You see legends, and we've seen it in Saskatchewan, doing the speaking tours and the dinners, and that can be a lucrative business, but you have to be attached to the organization and be a legend of one organization to do that. It's hard. Like, how many guys that, I'm sure it happens, but that were with the Rough Riders for one season are coming back to do all the speaking tours, unless it was a Grey Cup year, not very often. So when you bounce around, you don't have the connection to each of those markets, which could affect the life after football.
And the teams just say, sell more jerseys. You know, it's just the way that it is now because we're not going back. And it was Chris Jones who said it first. The days of staying in one place in a long time are over. Kirk in Toronto writes in and he says, the RP show may be the only snowbird sports talk show. Summers in Canada, winters in Florida, with the host living in Florida. How about that? That's the Kirk from Toronto. I will tell you something while we're sitting here. I did have what I thought was a deal. I guess I had a verbal agreement that I would live in Arizona in the winter and host my radio show on the radio station in Regina and call the Rough Riders games during football season. But I was all excited about that. But then when push came to shove, they didn't seem to remember making that deal. You know how that goes, Darren. So this wouldn't have been the first of the kind. And I know for a fact in Winnipeg, Cactus Jack Wells did it for years. He was, I think, Vegas, maybe Phoenix in the winters and doing his radio on, must have been CJOB. Winnipeggers will have to tell me. So I'm not the first, but I'm certainly the latest. Colt in San Diego writes in, he says, did y'all see Roger Goodell's Super Bowl press conference yesterday? And they asked him about the Chiefs and the refs helping them win. Yeah, we talked about it earlier, and I couldn't remember what the exact quote was. He said it was either ridiculous or preposterous or something like that. And it's like, what would you expect him to say? But during that same news conference, this is the next point that I have. The NFL's dedicated push to add diversity in all levels of America's most popular sport will continue. That was the message delivered by Commissioner Roger Goodell on Monday during his annual State of the League address, declining to follow in the footsteps of some major U.S. corporations stripping away diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. Now, I don't know how far you want to go down that road. I think a lot of people have their thoughts on DEI, whether it does work, whether it has worked, whether it will work. President Trump has come out against it. You don't hear it as much in Canada, because believe me, I follow all the Canadian news and all the social media accounts, but it still happens in Canada. I still run by the adage that I just want the best person for the job, regardless of race, gender, sexual orientation. I want the best person for the job. I don't care. But that's me. And Goodell's saying he doesn't agree. Are you surprised by that?
No, not at all. And when it comes to DEI, I think, when applied properly, it's wonderful and amazing and, fantastic. And what I think what DEI actually does, if you do it right, is actually make sure you get the best person for the job. It's not necessarily about making sure that, you hire X number of minorities and making sure that you check all these boxes. To me, it's about making sure that you don't have blinders on and you're looking everywhere, not just with your own prejudices. And so that should help you actually find the best candidate, regardless of race, gender, etc. But I think in this era of social media, we take DEI and we think, oh, that means I'm going to hire this person over that person. I don't think that's what the intention is. And I think when it comes to the NFL, geez, the big business that they are, they want to hire the best person for the job, no matter what. But I don't think they want to do it at the expense of, shutting down any DEI program.
I sit here as a 52-year-old white male, not part of DEI. So I just don't really have an opinion on it. You know what I mean? Because it doesn't really affect me. By the way, Colt goes on to say, and then Roger Goodell said that people say he writes the scripts for the season, and he said it's all a conspiracy theory. I didn't see the clip. I read the news articles and the quotes. I didn't see the actual video clip of it, but I will say this, Darren. I was listening to Florio the other day, Mike Florio from Pro Football Talk, and they were complaining about the officiating again and how the video review clearly showed Josh Allen had a first down in the AFC Championship when they ruled that he didn't. And the football that touched the ground should have been an incomplete pass that was ruled a Chiefs reception at the 3. Next play, Patrick Mahomes runs it in for a touchdown. My point on all this is, I hate talking about officiating, period. I can't stand it because we're never going to reach a consensus. However, did I ever tell you this summer? I must have. When I was broadcasting baseball, the baseball guys were complaining about balls and strikes and the umps and favoritism and blah, blah, blah. And I said, you guys ever considered robotic umpires, video strike zones with a camera? And they're like, yeah, well, we want the human element. We don't want to get rid of the human element. Then don't complain because you're opening yourself up to errors, favoritism, and conspiracy theories. When you have a human sitting there looking at the video and he makes a call that the rest of the world can see is wrong, how do you explain that other than human error or bias?
Yeah, it's really tough. You make that error, and when you get a review is, well, we're supposed to get it right. And in this era of reviews are going to take a long time, it should take if it's going to take a long time, you should get it right. I'm in favor of the reviews being shorter, but what it is right now, yeah, there shouldn't be any missed calls, not with reviews the way that they are and the length that it takes for them to, be administered.
It's, I don't know, I'll be long gone and dead by the time they dig up these quotes of mine where I said there's a difference between favoritism and rigging. It's evident, obvious the NFL is favoring the Kansas City Chiefs. It's good for business. I get it. But they're not rigging the games. Nobody thinks that they are. There is a difference. And to be honest, it's tough for Roger Goodell, I think, to sit back and field these questions, other than all he can do is just laugh. Hey, Colton San Diego writes that he says, have you all talked about the Canadian sports fans booing the U.S. national anthem at games? And John says, no, Colt, they haven't. We addressed it Monday. We'll say it again for those that weren't paying attention, because you hear but you don't listen. It's a free country. Do what you want. I don't like negativity. I don't like discord. So I don't really like talking about it. You agreed. It's a free country. Do what you want.
Yeah. And it's an issue that, is a big issue. It's a complicated issue. I don't think we have all the answers. And fans are going to boo. And they're letting their frustrations out in that way. And you get a little bit of Canada versus U.S. It's not the end of the world, and it is a free country.
I will say that, I think it was at MSG, within the last 12 months, was it Rangers fans or Islanders fans, somebody booed the Canadian anthem and started chanting USA, USA during the Canadian anthem. And that was a thing for like 5 minutes. So I get that you all want to talk about it, but it's just the thing to do right now is talk about if you want to boo the U.S. national anthem, go ahead. As I said, it's a free country. That's our opinion. I'm pretty sure we're sticking to it. We'll be right back. We're live on Game Plus Television, streaming live and podcasting wherever the best podcasts are found.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house. Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Hi, my name is Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
RP Show is brought to you by Culligan. Drink clean, live green. Filter your water for a healthier tomorrow. Culligan Water of Regina. Visit CulliganRegina.com. Please bring the moose in. Colder than heck in Canada, but the CFL news is hot on this free agency window. The news today is that Tommy Stevens has signed a free agent contract with the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Brian in Hudson's Bay writes in, he says, I don't think anyone in Sask is overexcited about Tommy Stevens other than it should help the short yardage out, but a quarterback he is not. That's from Brian in Hudson Bay. And hang on, Moose. I had that in my sports update earlier. The sports update is brought to you by Landmark Cinemas. Number one at the box office now, Flight Risk, in this high-stakes suspense thriller directed by Mel Gibson. Mark Wahlberg plays a pilot transporting a fugitive to trial. As they cross the Alaskan wilderness, tensions soar and trust is tested as not everyone on board is who they seem. Flight Risk in Landmark Cinemas. Now it is Moose approved. He saw it. You beat me last night in the lone NHL game. I feel like we have not spent enough time yet on the Senators. I think it's a hell of a story. We're well past the midway point now. I think we're coming up on the three-quarter turn of the NHL season, Darren. And Ottawa's a great story. Detroit, I was looking at 7-2-1 in their past 10. I'm looking at these coach firings and what it's done for them. And then in Columbus, the new coach with Dean Evison. We all thought, you and I did, I think, that it was a slam dunk that Spencer Carberry, the Washington coach, would be the coach of the year. But people are like, no. Look at all these other jobs being done. Pretty remarkable, whether it was guys that started all year or a replacement like Todd McClellan.
Add Ryan Huska in Calgary, who you and I have, and especially you have talked a lot about being in that conversation. Spencer Carberry, Dean Evison in Columbus, the job that Travis Green has done in Ottawa. There are a lot of really good quality coaches that are doing great job. I don't know that we thought Columbus would be as good as they've been. Definitely not Ottawa. Detroit's been better. Todd McClellan, Calgary. It has been a fun year for those types of stories. And, I'm thinking about this and I start thinking about these teams. And I remember thinking about this just this week. I'm like, man, if they're in the playoffs and they're in the playoffs, I watched Detroit. I'm like, Detroit back in the playoffs. I think it's going to be a really, really fun. It always is a fun spring, But this just feels like it's going to take us back, 5 or 10 years to like a wild playoffs. And I'm really looking forward to it.
B. Henderson writes in, I knew that somebody would. He says, Rod and Moose, 10 games for Hartman. Too much or too little? I say it's kind of fair, but he should have to drop the gloves with Brady Tkachuk next time they play the Sens. Otherwise, Hartman is a gutless coward. 10 games is a lot. I know people write in here quite often to get our take on suspension lengths, and I always think they're too long. I didn't think Connor McDavid should have got anything when he got 3 games for cross-checking Connor Garland in the face. That's the way that it is now. I'm sure the highlight shows must have been rife with the incident, Hartman and Brady Tkachuk.
Yeah, absolutely. And you got to think too, like, I think it's something about, I think I saw this and now I didn't do the math myself, but between $400,000 and $500,000 he's going to forfeit in salary by being suspended these 10 games. So like, that's a big punishment too. That's not a small ticket. And if you're asking the question, okay, is this too much or too little? Then it's probably right. If you wonder if it's one way or the other, it's probably right. It was bad. He headlocked him and drove his head into the ice. Can't have that in the game. So this sends a message, and Ryan Hartman is going to pay the price.
You're right about the fighting. Will he answer the bell with Brady Tkachuk next time they play? It's funny because we were talking about Matthew Tkachuk the other night, and Chris from the Bronx texted me this morning about Tkachuk. Nice of him to shave for the Trump presentation yesterday, the Stanley Cup. Said he's the only guy there in a purple tie. Here's just to go down the favoritism rabbit hole. Next segment, we'll do our NHL breakaway picks. The Florida Panthers are favored, and they're the current Stanley Cup champions. I'll give you a perfect example why. Can't remember who I was talking to down here the other day. These are the chats we do have. I said about Matthew Tkachuk grabbing David Pastrnak and taking the piss out of him, as my New Zealand friends say, Kiwi friends say. And somebody said, well, Pastrnak checked with his coach to see if it was okay to fight. And he said, yeah. I said, that's not the point. So Tkachuk fought their European leading scorer, and 2, Pastrnak was going down, and Tkachuk gave him 2 on his way down. Basically punched him while he was down. Whatever. It's in the Panthers video when they come on the ice. The welcome video that they have, the lights go down, blah, blah, blah. Him drilling Tkachuk when he's down, or Pastrnak when he's down. And I remember very clearly Bruce Boudreau on NHL radio going, how come he can do that? It's illegal to do that. Anybody else would get a 2-3 game suspension, but Matthew Tkachuk can. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not really asking for your opinion other than to say favoritism does exist from team to team to team. And I will say this, the other night at the Panthers game, 19,000 there to watch the New York Islanders. And to this day, Darren, this is my 4th season here covering the Panthers, the people in the press box just shake their heads at what I guess it used to be. Because I don't know. I wasn't here then when it was 5, 6, 7,000 a game. Now they're just like, they just can't believe. Sunday night at 6, 19,000 for the Islanders. It's unbelievable. And are they paying attention in Canada?
Not to the attendance down there. They're really not here in Canada. But that is unbelievable. That is great. And to the favoritism thing, it's a great, and favoritism happens all the time. I remember hearing things from NHL referees about favoritism. And part of it is like, look, when a guy dives and the referees go watch the tape on all their calls, and they're like, oh, he dove and he got me. He made me look bad. He's not getting the call next time. The favoritism. Guy treats you well, probably gets the call the next time. Favoritism. And now NFL with the Chiefs is the one thing, Travis Kelce and, Taylor Swift. But Andy Reid largely doesn't cause any problems. He's a good face for the NFL. He's been really good. Patrick Mahomes, you don't hear him causing problems. He's not getting into trouble. He's not doing these things. He's a good ambassador for the league. When you're good to the league's probably going to be good to you back. When you're good to people, they'll be good back to you. It's a life lesson. And if you want favoritism on your side, do good things that bring good karma back on you. And I think that's That's part of this with the Chiefs. It's not all of it, though.
I think that's a thing. Yeah, we'll take a timeout and be back with our NHL breakaway bets right after this. We're live on Game Plus, streaming live and podcasts wherever the best podcasts are found.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
From cash spiels to grand slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Reid Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Reid Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Reid Pedersen Show.
Did you know you can catch all the best moments from the show on all our social media platforms? Now, back to the studio with Rod.
Yeah, did I tell you that we're brought to you in part by Seat Giant? Oh, yeah, we are. Stop paying U.S. dollars for games and concerts. Canadian-owned and operated with Canadians in mind. Super Bowl, college football, Taylor Swift, they've got it all. Use the promo code RPShow for 20% off at checkout. SeatGiant.ca. Dave in Winnipeg writes in and says, 10 games is great. This is David number 2. He says, great player, but getting a bad reputation. Wild are in trouble. No Kaprizov, now no Hartman. Bill in Brantford, Ontario writes, and he says, the USA got over Kaepernick kneeling for the national anthem. Canadians booing the Star Spangled Banner won't bother them. Signed Bill in Brantford. Tell them what he's won, Bob. They don't care. That is a fact, Jack. Oh, and regarding the favoritism, John in Edmonton writes in and says the NHL doesn't favor Connor McDavid. No, they don't. And that sucks. Okay, they're all excited, tuning in. Scotty Slapper, Joshua Dorr here in South Florida. Can't wait. Scott Morganroth will be in next segment, the Motor City Madmouth. It's happening. Got a text from his wife, Candy, the Rolls Royce of women, as he calls her. Scotty Slapper will be in next hour. Top of the hour, live from Super Bowl. Okay, Moose, here we go. Breakaway bets. Straight up, Moose and I pick the picks in the NHL. Pick the games. Columbus at Buffalo tonight. Who do you like?
I like Columbus.
That's two of us. Minnesota Wild at the Boston Bruins. Boston for me.
Okay, I'll take Minnie.
Okay. Ottawa Senators going for their 6th win in a row at Tampa Bay. I'll take the Bolts.
Okay, I'll take Ottawa tonight.
You say that like you really believe it. New Jersey Devils at the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Ooh, I will take the Devils.
Me too. Florida Panthers at the Washington Capitals. Should be a hell of a game.
Should be a great game. Give me the Capitals tonight.
Yeah. I will take Florida, even though I actually think Washington will win. That's just me. Vegas at the Islanders. Islanders looking to get back on the streak. Vegas struggling. You go first.
Yeah, I'll take Vegas. But you're right. Something's got to give here.
I'll take the Islanders just to be that guy. Carolina Hurricanes at the Winnipeg Jets. Should be a beauty. Jets for me, man.
I'll take the Hurricanes just to be that guy.
Edmonton Oilers at the St. Louis Blues. What do you think?
Oilers.
Blues for me.
Okay.
Philadelphia Flyers at the Utah Grizzlies.
I'll take the Flyers.
Me too. Game of the night. Saddle Dome will be rocking, baby. Toronto Maple Leafs at the Calgary Flames. Who are you taking there?
That's going to be a great game. I'll go with the Leafs tonight.
Perfect. I'll take the Flames because usually when I pick them, they win. They win even when I don't pick them.
Yeah.
Colorado at Vancouver tonight. Who do you like?
Avs for me.
1 minute only. Okay, Avs for you. I'll take Vancouver to win at home. Detroit at Seattle.
Detroit.
Me too. Dallas at Anaheim.
Dallas.
Me too. And Montreal at San Jose.
Ooh, give me the Sharks.
Okay. The second worst team in the NHL last I looked. I'll take Montreal. Not that they're that hot either. Okay, Moose, we're going to Super Bowl next. And Ken Reid coming up next hour. You have a great afternoon, man. Thank you. Thanks for playing.
All right. You too.
Darren Moose DuPont in Toronto. We'll be right back with Hour 2 coming up with the Motor City Madmouth, Scott Morganroth of the the South Florida Tribune, and Ken Reid from Sportsnet. Stick around.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at iksgameday.com.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Reid Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
So what was it like coaching the Panthers in the 90s at the old Miami Arena? And he said it was in a bad end of town, and the police told him, when you come to a red light around the arena, don't stop. Keep rolling through because they'll come and steal your car. And he was driving an 86 Toyota Corolla. So he said he came up to a red light, and he didn't stop. He rolled through the red intersection, and some local yelled at him, "Don't worry, we wouldn't steal that piece of garbage."
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Yeah, you're in for a real treat here in hour 2, everybody. We are live on Game Plus television across Canada and 32 U.S. states. We're also streaming and podcasting. Ken Reid coming up from Sportsnet Toronto, one of their more popular anchors, coming up next segment. But we're going live to Super Bowl now. Super Bowl 59 in Las Vegas. Our good friend Scott Morganroth joins us from the South Florida Tribune. Your fan club has shown up, Scotty. You know who they are. Your crew's here watching you at this appearance from Super Bowl. How's it going, brother?
It's going really well, Rod. I had an opportunity to go out there and ask Andy Reid a question over at the Kansas City Chiefs of media availability and also talk to Kareem Hunt. Candy also had an opportunity to go to the Superdome for the first time, and we covered opening night, in addition to the fact that she got to tour around Bourbon Street, French Quarter, as well as Jackson Square. So it's going well. Things are going to start picking up a little bit later, and I also have an interview scheduled later on this. And all of our interviews can be found on the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel. For all you folks in Canada and everywhere else, please subscribe to the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel. We'll have a lot of good content that'll be going up later next week. But this Wounded Warrior show is something I'm looking forward to. I have a really deep passion for the veterans and the military, and I'm looking forward to it, and I'll give you more details on Friday. But so far, so good. But we have Philadelphia coming up, and I was able to catch this window perfectly because I took the shuttle from the Chiefs Hotel all the way to the Eagles. So it worked out well where we talk about that little window that we have. It worked well, on Friday, I'll be able to give you a lot more time, probably from Radio Row, Media Row, wherever we're going to go. So I'll be able to give you a lot of more information. Because one of my top priorities week is to be able to go to as many press conferences from the Chiefs and the Eagles. And I've been to four other Super Bowls, and I've been to 4 games. So I'm not really worried so much about going to the game this time. I just want Candy to have the opportunity to experience doing it. And so far, I think she's having a really good time. But she hasn't seen nothing yet. See me in action on Radio Row. Now, other things that have taken place in the last 2 days, I did get a photo with Ryan Leaf, former Washington State quarterback. Obviously, didn't have a very good career in the National Football League. I won't get into the details. One of my good colleagues interviewed him, but Ryan became a father. I'm hoping that with him becoming a father, that helps him grow up a little bit. Sometimes fatherhood has a tendency to do that as well. Another interesting note, too, is I was approaching a guy for a Tennessee Nashville. I asked him, want me to come out for like 5 or 10 minutes, talk Cam Ward? No, I'm not. I'm interested. Saying, what an idiot. I'm giving you an opportunity to talk about Cam Ward and Tennessee, and you want to talk about a victim head. This guy was that. It didn't matter to me. I just sat around Radio Row as I continued to go out there and whole week. So it's going to be a very busy week. But part of my ritual is I don't go a lot of the off-site parties. I go to the main press conferences. Fox will have one later this week, and I'm going to try to get involved with an NFLPA. So there'll be some interesting ones that I really like to go to. Couldn't get to the State of the Commissioner the other day. They only allowed so many people to show up. Doesn't matter. Been there, done that. So I'm really looking forward. We're just getting going and have a lot of things to look forward to as the week goes on.
I think it's hilarious that you said things are going to pick up. I've been following you guys' photos. It looks like you've been everywhere already. With opening night last night, so you were covering it at the Superdome. What were your takeaways from that? It looked wild.
My takeaways personally were, number one, I didn't mind sitting, found a spot to sit on the field. I wanted to let Candy take pictures all over the place. She's never been to the Superdome. People, if you've never been to the Caesar Superdome or the Superdome, you need to get there. I've been there for the Final Four. I've been there for multiple football games, including the New Orleans Bowl, games with the Detroit Lions. So I've enjoyed it. When I Final Four was in 1982 and Michael Jordan was there. So for me, this was all about Candy, not myself. I wanted her to walk around there, take whatever picture she could get. She didn't have to interview anybody. And as long as she could soak in this experience is what it's all about, I'm fine. So, I view the first 2 days are about my wife. Now I told her on her way back, because you're right. We're staying in Hammond, Louisiana, which is home of southeastern Louisiana. I love it. That's a great place for us to stay. It gives me about an hour to meditate to and from the hotel to plan what I'm doing. My wife drives that particular spot, so I can just sit back and think what I'm going to do. And today's a good indicator for me about what I'm trying to really get done in terms of how we will set the tone the rest of the week.
Good stuff.
And coming on the show
from
today,
the audience.
Just to give you yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, Scott. No, go ahead.
No, that's okay. Just to give you a brief overview on the first show, and later in the week, it's just be a whole lot more fun. I'll have a lot more, but it's a good overall summary for our first couple of days. I've been to New Orleans. I love this town. It's a Big Easy, and when I go there to Pat O'Brien's, I really whip it up, and boy, these guys love me. No hurricane drinks this time, but a lot of good food there.
I couldn't imagine you on the Hurricanes. Joshua Doors watching. He says, Scotty. He goes, Rod, get Scotty riled up. Hey, it doesn't take much. C Lightning writes in and says, Scotty. So, yeah, your fan club's here, Motor City Madmouth. You mentioned
great stuff.
There's the matchup of the Eagles and the Chiefs, and we'll get to that in a second. But there's always that talk amongst the media row and so forth about the number 1 overall pick in the draft. You mentioned Cam Ward. I saw a mock draft on NFL Network last night that had Shedeur Sanders going number 1. Who do you think it's going to be?
Well, I'm going to be in favor of Cam Ward. I really am. I've seen the guy play multiple times. He's a good pocket passer. He can run out of the pocket, get yards by his legs. So I will always favor my Cam Ward and his body of work at University of Miami, and he holds a lot of Hurricane passing records. And when you talk about the Hurricane passing records through the years, think no further than Bernie Kosar, Vinny Testaverde, even Jim Kelly. I don't think he had as many passing records back then, but there's a great quarterback tradition at University of Miami. Don't get me wrong, Shedeur Sanders will be a heck of a quarterback. If you're giving me the question who I think one or the other, I would go Cam Moore. I don't really pay much attention to the NFL draft TV sets to watch. I'm only focused on the events at hand that I see in front of me and be able to go to the best possible places, which we have to do. And I told Candy, this is about parties. The South Florida Tribune is built on one major word: journalism. Okay, journalism. If I think it's a good journalism story, it's a human interest story, it's different than the way I'll look at it is, then that's the type of content that I'm looking for.
Okay, this is from a viewer last hour. Carlos in Indianapolis wrote in. I'll put it to you. What's the better story? Yeah. Eagles winning Super Bowl 59 or the Chiefs winning Super Bowl 59 in the three-peat?
Well, I have to go ahead with the three-peat. I'll tell you why. I approached Andy Reid about three-peat, and he loved the question, and the Chiefs PR guy ate it up alive. So when I asked Andy Arati, said he loved being compared with Pat Riley. So knowing I got the question in, and Andy Reid is one of the most candid individuals you will ever meet. I'm going to easily feed off three-peat, and I want to thank the Chiefs PR guy. Walked up to him afterwards. They shook his hand. No, that was a great question. That was really good stuff for us. But again, when I approach a press conference, I think my conference is through, and I know I'm looking for one target. And one target, if I get a second, great. But when you zone in on something and you know you want to do something, then that's exactly what the whole idea is. So now I'm kind of pulling for the three-peat after the way Andy went out there and answered the question. And Pat Riley and Andy Reid, what do you think of those two guys as coaches? You think they're pretty well established? You think they've done some good work?
Yeah, if there was a better Hall of Fame, they'd be in it. If there was a better league, they'd be in it.
Let me tell you, when I talked to Andy about it, it was really nice, positive look there. And he's, wow, that's good. In two of my favorite words are great stuff. And that's the way Andy Reid approached it. And no, I'm going to tell you, the interview with Kareem Hunt was pretty good, too. University of Toledo, it's his first Super Bowl as well. So consequently, the way I look at it is this is a story that you're going to hear a lot more out of. His first, the Mid-American Conference doesn't get the credit that it really deserves for producing prospects, but Kareem Hunt's a winner. He's been through a lot, and he played all 4 years in college, which is probably unheard of these days. There was no NIL. This kid had to earn it the hard way, and when he was picked off from Cleveland, they threw him in there and let him run the football, and he's done some pretty good for the Chiefs with the time that he's been in Kansas City.
Dayton is watching in Hamilton, Ontario. He says, journalism. They loved what you said, your core pillar of the South Florida Tribune. How did you feel about the commissioner, Scotty, saying it's ridiculous that the Chiefs are being favored in calls by the officials in video review?
Well, I mean, the only thing I'll say is I'm not crazy. I thought more for people on social media. Calls are what they are. Well, again, everybody's going to sit there and be envious of a team that's won an awful lot of games and won Super Bowl. So I think he was probably online. I wasn't there, but judging by what I've heard, I think this is a bigger story than it really needs to be.
Sea Lightning wants to know, Scotty, what does your ball cap say?
Motor City Madmouth.
There you go. He is from Detroit.
I'm getting some interesting comments from media members that actually like it. So I invited one guy. His name is Peter Forrest, who's seen me twice and looks at the hat. I'm going to do a 5 or 10 minute thing about the Motor City Madmouth hat and try to get some a unique Super Bowl perspective about marketing my hat. Talk about the guy. Hopefully, if I catch up with him a little bit, maybe later we'll do it. Again, I'm looking for really wild stuff.
How many different colors of those hats do you have, Scotty?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
How many different colors of those hats? Yeah.
Like 4 or 5, at least. Got to have a brown one, got to have a blue one, have to have a black one and a royal blue, at least to my knowledge. Oh, you know what? I think there's another one, a beige one. Red. I have to have the Brown family in there, too. And red, too.
3 minutes.
My wife told me we're up to 6.
Tell Candy I said, hey,
6 colors.
Rob in Las Vegas is watching. He said, is Andy Reid now on the Mount Rushmore of NFL coaches? That's my last one for you before you go.
Boy, it would be pretty hard to debate against it. It really would. If I had to go with my personal Mount Rushmore, I would go with Vince Lombardi on the list. I would go John Shula, Bill Belichick, and then you probably can make a case for Andy Reid. If you're looking for a fifth one, maybe Tom Landry, but I don't think Landry gets in. I'll stay with my original 4.
We only had 2 Super Bowls with Coach Landry in Dallas. So we do count these things, as we know. Okay, 2 minutes. Where are you off to now, Scotty?
Oh, actually going to the Philadelphia Eagles press conference, and then after I get done with that, we'll be going back to Radio Row, and we'll see whatever media opportunities that I get. I'm looking forward to seeing what the Eagles have and who they bring, and knowing that I had my first opportunity with Kansas City. I know the lay of the land a lot better, and it's only going to get better as the week goes on because, Rod, I am really totally committed to these press conferences. I am. And as I mentioned, for those just joining us right now, if you want to see all of our interviews, Rod shows and mine, please, and I say please, subscribe to the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel. And I also have a book out there called Lessons from the Microphone, because you can rest assured that a lot of what I come up with here at Super Bowl 59 will be mentioned in that as well. So I'm really looking forward to it. Monday was one of those where you get in. Now, for me, it's from Tuesday all the way until at least Friday and maybe Saturday. It's time to dig into the trenches. And, of course, we have our show on Friday. I'll provide you with a lot more updates and a lot more time. Hopefully 45 minutes to an hour works for you. I'll give you everything I've got.
All right, Scotty, great appearance, man. Go have fun. Say hey to Candy for me.
I'll do that, Rod. God bless, and I appreciate you being on your show, and I love all the viewers you have. They're the best, and I'm glad they think about me a lot. You guys are the best, but I got more work to do here in New Orleans.
There you go, everybody. Peace out. He is the John Frenzy of the USA. If you know, you know. Just digging out the old text line, 902-518-3033. This was carryovers from last hour. Jim Young, Dirty 30, is watching in Armstrong, BC. Regarding the Kachuk boys and fighting, Jim says the sons don't need to fight. They're good players, but following their dad. I thought that you were referring to the mom who doesn't want them to fight. Good thing I double read that, because it's like they can fight other people, just not each other. She doesn't want her boys, Brady and Matthew, fighting. But they can fight other people. And like I say, listen, this Kachuk thing is a wonderful debate. He's like Brad Marchand. He's like Kenny Linsman. If he's on your team, you love him. If he's not on your team, you hate him. And it's just the Boston people were upset that he punched Pasternak when he was down. I'm not picking a side on this. I'm just explaining what happened. Because Panthers and Flames fans get very upset if you say anything negative about Matthew Kachuk. I get that. Don't tell me it didn't happen. Okay, we'll be back. Ken Reid joins us from Sportsnet. We're live on the Game Plus Television Network, streaming live and podcasts wherever the best podcasts are found.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit. As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
Hour 2 is brought to you by Culligan. Clear water, clear choice. Filter out the bad and taste the good. Culligan Water of Regina. CulliganRegina.com. We'll do a CFL free agency update a little later on for you CFL fans. Ken Reid joins us from Rogers Sportsnet. It's been far too long. Ken, welcome back. And here on this Super Bowl week, you're looking great, my friend, as always. You're looking fresh.
Hey,
what is your favorite part of Super Bowl week?
okay, first off, congrats to you on 10 years. I saw that the other day. Fantastic, buddy. So congrats
Thank
to
you.
you.
Thank you.
Okay, favorite thing about Super Bowl week? I think it's the build-up. Just the train gets rolling and people, the fact that people never run out of things to say. Had the honor of covering one Super Bowl. It's quite something, but I think it's just the build-up and the storytelling. And like, lucky for us, we have the Arash Madani on, and Arash can weave a tale. So I just kind of like the build-up, to be honest. It's, as you know, it's so different from Grey Cup week. Grey Cup week's a party. I think Super Bowl is a little more corporate than Grey Cup, but yeah, I'd say the build-up just my favorite thing.
Which Super Bowl did you cover?
Super Bowl 48 in New Orleans. A lot of fun. It was my first and only one. I got to do it with the great Stephen Brunt, which was a blast. My lasting memory from that, it was in the Superdome, and you only have so much media access, right? Because there's so many media there. So I had, I think, the first half was spent upstairs, and I think it was the second half was spent downstairs, and the power went out. And we're in this windowless room in the basement of the Superdome. The power goes out. It's pitch black. And of course, you know, the world we live in, Brunt and I both kind of look at each other through the whatever dim light we had, and we said, something going on? And luckily nothing too much was going on. It was just a power outage. But that's kind of my lasting memory from that game, which is, you wouldn't think that would be your memory, but something like that, it sticks with you.
Does that not seem like a lifetime ago? Kaepernick Harbaugh, right?
Yep.
Not a whole lot's changed with the Ravens other than the quarterback. Yeah.
Flacco, Kaepernick.
Listen,
Kaepernick. Yeah. Lifetime. Sorry to interrupt,
Exactly.
but yeah. The fact that like Kaepernick was on this upswing and you thought he was going to be around for years, and then all hell broke loose there. So yeah, that a lifetime ago. That's a good way to put it.
You have always the hot takes. What I love about you is you're not afraid to give them, primarily on the Blue Jays. But I'm just wondering what you think about the favoring the Chiefs narrative and Roger Goodell laughing about it, saying yesterday it's ridiculous. How do you feel about that as they go for the three-peat on Sunday?
Well, first off, there's nothing else Roger Goodell can say. But when I look at it, if you're going to favor a team, why would you favor a market the size of Kansas City? It seems, do you really need to get Taylor Swift on TV that much? I think it's, listen, as long as there's been sports, there's been fans saying that team gets the calls. We don't get the calls. If you're the NFL, I think you would have designed a better script, as Goodell says. He writes all the scripts. But I think you would have designed something more attractive. No disrespect in Kansas City. I mean, last I checked, there's teams in New York and LA, a couple big media markets, Chicago, big media market. So I think whenever there's a great athlete, there's always going to be talk. He gets the calls, he doesn't get the calls. And I think it was mentioned by your last guest as well, and by Goodell. We have this awful thing now called social media. And the thing about the one idiot in town, he was the one idiot in town, but now there's idiots in every town, and they have this thing they can gather on and share their crazy ideas. Whereas back in the day, that was just a local weirdo. And now if you put the kind of the conspiracy theorist and the crazy guy from every town together, you got a lot of people. So voila.
It influences opinion, no doubt. Okay, people can see over your shoulder you're a fan of memorabilia, obviously, and all the rest. Here's a question I'm dying to ask you. The Utah hockey team, with these all quarter-century teams that were announced by the NHL over the past month, completely ignored the Arizona Coyotes, and before that, the Winnipeg Jets. They had their top 6 players from the current Utah team, and I was disgusted by that. Washington Nationals ignore the Expos' history, too. How do you feel about that?
I'm with you. History is what makes our games, regardless of the sport, it's what makes the games great. You should learn from it. You should embrace it. You should respect those who walk before you. The Utah thing, like, honestly, when I look at social media accounts for teams now and things like that, bottom line is they're probably run by some 23, 24-year-old, right? Like, that's the bottom line. So who really put together Utah's historic team? By the way, the quarter century thing, it's a big miss by the NHL. Totally unnecessary. I see what they were going for, trying to get a little publicity, but come on, seriously, your quarter century team. But yeah, big whiff by Utah. I mean, you trace their history back. Last I checked, you're talking Dale Howardchuk, who was a pretty good, hockey player. I almost said GD. You had some players there. So yeah, swing and a miss.
Yeah, for sure. He would be the number one guy on the list, plus some very good Arizona Coyotes. So I don't know why they would do that. Okay.
Yeah. By the way, Rod, if I could just quickly interject, if we are going back and talking about quarter century teams, the all century team or the first 100 years the league did, big whiff when they missed out on Dale Howardchuk for that team too, the top 100 of all time.
I know, of course. Jumping around here, but to baseball, because I know how much you love it. I saw the debate. It was last week while I wasn't on this show. I missed a day's show. They were saying, are the Dodgers bad for baseball because they're buying up everybody? And are the reigning World Series champions? What do you think?
It's an interesting question. It kind of reminds me of the Yankees of the mid to late 90s. They would get guys just to sit them on the bench so other teams couldn't play them against them. Is it bad for baseball? Probably. But baseball's been in a position for a long time where big markets kind of rule the roost. I mean, would you want to be a Pittsburgh Pirates fan? It's tough. It reminds me a lot of hockey before the salary cap came in. Is it bad for baseball? Well, it depends. It's bad for small market fans. It's probably good for baseball in that they're probably going to do more business overseas than they ever had in Asia. You got Otani, and then you surround him with even more studs. You would think the Dodgers would be even better and even more dominant. So, like a lot of things, follow the money. It's probably good for baseball's bottom line, at least in the major markets. But I think from a pureness perspective, it's definitely bad for baseball. I'm an Expos fan, right? That was my team. I saw a lot of bad for baseball with what happened to the Montreal Expos, all the talent they were basically the minor league system for all of baseball. They're like Tampa Bay. They develop guys and then just get rid of them. So if I was a Dodgers fan, is it bad for baseball? No. If I'm a businessman in baseball at the highest level, is it bad for baseball? No. If I'm the Pittsburgh Pirates, if I'm the Tampa Bay Rays, if I'm the Seattle Mariners, is it bad for baseball? Absolutely.
This is a bit of a, what should I say, obvious question, I guess, but where do the Blue Jays fall on that scale? Franchise, have not franchise, or somewhere in between based on their World Series drought financially?
The Blue Jays remind me of the Canadian government. They spend tons of money. They just don't spend it right. They are willing to pay. They pay into the luxury tax. And again, I hope I'm not coming off as a Roger shill. The owner's forking out the cash. The problem is the two guys in charge of forking out the cash should not be in charge of forking out the cash. I know Rod have said this many a time before. Shapiro and Atkins should not be running a Major League Baseball team. They should not be running the Toronto Blue Jays. They have failed repeatedly. Now, if you're in the business of cup holders, and if you're in the business of putting beer gardens up at the top of the stands and getting people to pay $20 for a ticket and come in and pay $22 for a year, Mark Shapiro is a genius, and I respect that. I respect his business acumen. Don't have much to say about his baseball acumen. Don't have much to say about finishing second for so many free agents. Santander, great bat. Gonzalez, who they picked up from Cleveland, of course, no bat at all. The middle of their infield again. If Bo Bichette's going to bounce back, there's no way he has that season again going into his free agency. But listen, I have a lot of complaints about the government. I pay a ton of taxes. The government pays out a lot of money. I don't think they spend it right. The Blue Jays pay out a lot of money. I don't think they spend it.
Right on.
What was your excitement level scale of 1 to 10 on the Max Scherzer signing?
2. I mean, listen, I think the Max Scherzer signing was optically a fantastic signing. The casual fan is going to go, wow, we got Max Scherzer? That's awesome. True. Frank Thomas also played his last year in the majors for the Blue Jays. Max Scherzer pitched, I think, 45 1/3 innings last year. Listen, he's a great pitcher. He's a Hall of Famer. He's not Max Scherzer 10 years ago. He's not going to get you with 98, 99 miles an hour. He's going to pick up the corners with 92, which is great. That's evolving as a pitcher. What are they going to get at him? I don't know. But I think the signing optically looks good because the casual fan can say, we just signed Max Scherzer. He's awesome. He's a future Hall of Famer, which is all true. But you didn't sign the Max Scherzer 10 years ago. I think that's what people need to know. But I think optically it was a good signing. As they said in Slapshot, come on down to the War Memorial. Plenty of tickets still available. So I think that might have had something to do with it.
Gotcha. Sells tickets, living off a name for sure. Maybe the Blue Jays aren't away. And actually, here's my last thing for you. The all-quarter century thing, I had a lot of fun with. I did. Especially here in Florida with the Panthers and the Lightning. It was an interesting discussion. How about the Blue Jays? This is totally putting you on the spot, so you don't need to answer if you don't want to. But the Blue Jays all-quarter century team, did anybody do one? Kind of a fun debate when it's the team that you follow.
Not that I know of, off the top of my head. Catcher, Russell Martin. Third base, Josh Donaldson. Shortstop, Bo Bichette. Second base, man. Oof. I don't know who I'd throw at second off the top of my head. First, Guerrero. Right, Bautista. Center, Pilar Kiermaier, maybe. Left, I'm throwing Teo out there, and my DH is Edwin. But who's your? I don't know who my second baseman is, though. I'm at a
Who's
loss
your starting
there.
pitcher? All quarter century team.
Yeah, Clemens was gone before 2000.
I'll say Roy Halladay, probably.
I think you just absolutely nailed Roy Halladay. Yeah, no doubt.
Ding, 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 ding. See, it's fun when it's the team that you follow. Yeah, exactly.
But
All right, Ken, any last words or thoughts?
As always, get pucks in deep. Enjoy Super Bowl week. My kid doesn't want to watch it because his Buffalo Bills lost. And I said, well, it'll be on, so you can check it out, little man. But no, always enjoy the show, Rod. And I love the questions off the top of the head. And I hope I don't get in trouble for my Blue Jays takes. And I know I won't, because my bosses let me say whatever I want, despite what people might think.
Isn't it great? Ken, thank you, brother. Have a great afternoon.
Thanks, Rod. Peace, bud.
Sportsnet anchor Ken Reid. I should have asked him. He can text in if he's still watching. Scott in Vancouver writes in and asks if he goes, Scott says, Ken, do you think Halifax will get the 10th CFL team? When are you guys going to give up the ghost? Oh, my God. But you know what? For the next 27 minutes to the top of the hour, I'm going to do viewer takeover the rest of the way, whatever you would want to talk about, because it's just you and me. We're live here on Game Plus TV across Canadian television in 32 U.S. states, streaming live and podcasts wherever the best podcasts are found.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit. As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Oh, yeah. for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
As promised, I'm going to do as much of viewer takeover as we can. I'm having some slight text issues. It isn't that a pain in the butt when that happens. 902-518-3033 is the number to text. Bob in Saskatoon writes in. He says, Ken Reid should be a weekly guest. Very knowledgeable. He is good. That's why he's lasted so long on Sportsnet. Which, by the way, Rich in Edmonton writes in and he says, outstanding to see Ken, a Rogers employee, speak the truth about the Shatkins combo. We'll see how that goes over. From what I understand, the Blue Jays management types are very defensive when it comes to criticism. We'll see how this story ends. It's not rare in sports. Rob in Las Vegas writes in, he says, give me a competitive Blue Jays team over loony dogs at the ballpark. I had to read that over a couple times before I realized what he was saying. Give me a competitive Blue Jays team before loony hot dogs at the ballpark. It's all about marketing these days. Actually, was it Rich in Edmonton that said this earlier with regards to the Florida Panthers here? 19,000 fans a game. It's unbelievable. They had it Saturday for the Chicago Blackhawks, Sunday night for the Islanders here, and I'm sitting in the press box, and the guys that I'm sitting with are just still can't believe it. They're like, never thought we'd see the day. These are guys that have worked in that press box 12, 13, some 20, 30 years. Day one guys with the Panthers. But as Rich said, winning works. Winning sells. Winning puts bums in seats, actually, is what he said. And if you're not winning, that's what the teams are doing. Marketing. What else are you going to do? You have to. 902-518-3033. There are 14 games in the NHL tonight. The Ottawa Senators are aiming to win their 6th straight game when they visit the Tampa Bay Lightning. Elsewhere, the St. Louis Blues host the Edmonton Oilers. The Carolina Hurricanes visit the league-leading Winnipeg Jets. The Calgary Flames entertain the Toronto Maple Leafs. Moose picked the Leafs. I picked the Flames. The Colorado Avalanche visit the Vancouver Canucks, and the San Jose Sharks host the Montreal Canadiens. After meeting with U.S. President Donald Trump at the White House yesterday, the defending Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers will head over to Capital One Arena tonight, where they'll face Alex Ovechkin and the Eastern Conference leading Washington Capitals. Ovi is just 18 goals shy now of breaking Wayne Gretzky's NHL record of 894. The Toronto Raptors, one of the hottest teams in the NBA. I'm surprised that passed the spell check. Having won 8 of their past 10 games, host the New York Knicks tonight. The 16-33 Raptors have moved up to 12th place in the Eastern Conference. The 33-17 Knicks, third in the East, beat the visiting Houston Rockets 124-118 last night. The top 2 teams in the NBA's Eastern Conference will clash tonight. The first place 40-9 Cleveland Cavaliers, riding a 4-game win streak, host the second place 35-15 Boston Celtics, who have won 3 in a row. To Super Bowl, and Harrison Butker is confident in his kicking and the stances he's taken on some sensitive issues as he enters his 5th Super Bowl. The Chiefs kicker says he's playing for Kansas City in 4 Super Bowls, and winning 3 NFL titles has helped give him a big platform. Last offseason, he generated criticism for his stance against Pride Month and abortion. He said Monday he doesn't feel the need to apologize for anything, saying God has prepared him to feel confident. News not related to Super Bowl. Star defensive end Myles Garrett has requested a trade from the Cleveland Browns with the hope of better positioning himself to play in a Super Bowl. That's according to a statement he sent media outlets. The Browns finished last in the AFC North with a 3-14 record. GM Andrew Berry said last week that he would not trade Garrett, who is under contract with the Browns for 2 more seasons. It's interesting to see how the leagues follow this and keep a lid on it if they can, because I know one thing that has not changed even since I've been out of working in it for a team on a day-to-day basis There's that moratorium during Grey Cup week, Super Bowl week, Stanley Cup finals on any news not pertaining to the game or games at hand. But the players don't abide by that. Pretty sure the players didn't even realize there was a rule that said that. So you got Myles Garrett sending out a statement to the media. You got Cooper Kupp on his Twitter last night announcing that he'd been informed by the LA Rams that they're trading him. And he's upset about that. He said he envisioned that his career would end in Los Angeles. I can't remember exactly what the tweet said, but it was something along the lines of something I'm not happy about. I found out today that I'm being shocked by the Los Angeles Rams. It's not something I'm happy about. It is unfortunate, but these are the times we're in. And by the way, whether it was current social media age or pre-social media age, there's an expiry date on everybody. Sports Update is for Landmark Cinemas. Get more of what you love, free movies and concession items, invitations to exclusive screenings, special events, and more. There are 3 rewarding programs to choose from that get you something extra with every movie purchase you make. That's with their rewards program. Check out landmarkcinemas.com to register for free today. And also brought to you by EMJ Marketing. Connect with thought leaders and industry experts through EMJ Marketing Speakers Bureau. Check them out at emjmarketing.com. I feel like we've done a pretty good job today of navigating through Super Bowl, NFL, NHL, Myles Garrett, Roger Goodell, tonight's NHL picks. We have not spent a ton of time on Canadian Football League free agency, and I know a lot of their fans have come here to talk about it today. I don't know how this came up, but I appreciate the people writing in regarding jerseys. I don't know how it came up, but Navy Dawn writes in and says, oh, the Expos. Broke my heart and love for MLB when the league and players allowed the strike to happen. 1994. There's a documentary on that, isn't there? I think so. Didn't matter. We lived it. The one year the Expos had the best record in baseball, and they shut down the season mid-season for a strike. Tony from Cochrane, Alberta writes that he says, my Pete Rose baby blue Expos jersey is one of my favorite possessions. I'll tell you what, one of my favorites is these Panthers baby blues. Up here that you see Alexander Barkov very beautifully modeling for us on the set of the RP show. A guy was selling that on the Panthers Positive Facebook group for like $200. I'm like, I'll take it. Got a hold of it, met him at the game, exchanged money on the concourse, and then somebody's like, you got had. That's a cheap knockoff from China, $20. I'm like, I don't care. I couldn't find these things anywhere. They don't sell them anymore. I wanted it that bad, and I'm so happy that I got it. Sea Lightning writes in, he says, in Saskatchewan, we had the Expos on a television delay. Went to visit friends that were watching the game. I was predicting the score before it happened. I told them the game was on a delay. Oh, you shouldn't have done that, Sea Lightning. By the way, this is where social media is a really good thing for delivering the news, but it's really changed the way we do things, even in the world of websites and talk shows and podcasts, because the news is coming out. I'm trying to stay on top of this. News came out this morning that the Saskatchewan Roughriders have signed former Calgary Stampeders backup quarterback Tommy Stevens. That came out this morning, and it came out really early in our show today. And I already had everything lined up to talk about. That's why I'm pushing it all here into the back end, into overtime, because we were lined up. But see what I'm saying? You sit there and scroll with your thumb, and you see these news items. That's cool. But a lot of people are going to be listening to this podcast later today. You go to rodpeterson.com. At the end of the day, I put a free agency update there, and you can come at the end of the day to rodpeterson.com and see what happened in the CFL today. But not everybody's keeping up with it minute by minute by minute. I appreciate those that are writing in that are. And if it wasn't for this dang text issues that I'm having today, I could read you a few more because we got David number 2 in Winnipeg writing in and saying, sorry, Rod, Jason Hogan is the new Bombers offensive coordinator. Oh, I feel like we should talk about that when we come back, and I don't know who Jason Hogan is. So we're going to have to discuss that. We have a lot of viewers in Winnipeg that would probably like to talk about it. We'll be right back with Overtime after this here on Game Plus TV, streaming live and podcast wherever the best podcasts are found.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit. As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
You got something to say? You want to add to the show? What are you waiting for? Don't just sit there. Say something. Now, back to the studio with Rod.
Okay, we are back at it, and Overtime is brought to you, as you should know by now, by Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. Perfect place for birthday parties for the hockey-loving boy or girl in your house if you have a winter birthday. Which, interestingly enough, they tell us to go for winter birthdays, but they are open year-round. Good old Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. Check them out at 28th Street Northeast, Calgary. State-of-the-art shooting lanes, top-notch equipment. It's the ultimate training destination for players of all ages and skill levels. Okay, bear with me, which I know you will. I appreciate the gentleman in Winnipeg. Here's the thing. Something about the Blue Bombers, when they send their emails, I'm sure it's a me thing. It's not a them thing. I'm sure you have it with some people that send you emails. It's exceptionally wide, wider than what your screen has. I had to just do a few things here. And here it is, breaking news out of Winnipeg today. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers have announced Jason Hogan has been named offensive coordinator, with Jarius Jackson added to the staff as the quarterback's coach. The 2025 CFL season will be Hogan's fourth with the club, following his previous 3 years as the team's running backs coach. Over the past 3 seasons, Hogan has played an important role in Brady Oliveira's rise to stardom, as the Winnipeg product has eclipsed the 1,000-yard rushing mark 3 times. A product of Rosemere, Quebec, Hogan came to the Blue Bombers in 2022 after serving as the offensive coordinator, running backs, wide receiver, and quarterbacks coach with the Université de Montréal, Quebec. Meanwhile, Jarius Jackson joins the Blue Bombers after spending the last 3 seasons with the Edmonton Elks as offensive coordinator and as interim head coach. After being promoted to the position last July following a management change, the Elks were 7-6 with Jackson as head coach after beginning the season 0-5 before the change. And Edmonton finished first in points scored, first in rushing yards per game, and second in net offense. A 2-year starting quarterback at the University of Notre Dame, Jarius set single-season school records for yards passing, completions, and attempts in 1999. And with that, the book is closed on the CFL coaching carousel, from what I understand, but that's okay, because you got free agency coming up here right away. And I don't know, Kahari Jones' agent called me the other day. We didn't talk about Kahari, but I was on the way to the Panthers game, phone rang, and we had a great chat. He actually got a real kick out of the fact that I'm now an ordained minister, if you hadn't heard, through the Universal Life Church. But for whatever reason, Kahari Jones has not been hired in the last couple hiring cycles in the CFL, so he is now the quarterback's coach at the University of BC. Back to the roots. Tony from Cochrane, Alberta writes in regarding the all-quarter century team for the Blue Jays. Now, correct me if I'm wrong on this. Ken Reid was stumped trying to find a second baseman for the Blue Jays. If Clark was here, he'd have it. Tuna, do you want to take a swing at it? Pardon the pun. All-quarter century second baseman for the Blue Jays. Who would you say? He says Devin Travis. Yeah, that's the only one that comes to Tuna's mind. Tuna's in for Clark today. See, Tony from Cochrane, Alberta writes it, and he says, sorry, was paused a while watching on YouTube. He says, second base has to be Roberto Alomar for the Blue Jays, quarter century team. But I don't think Robbie played from 2000 to 2024 in those 25 seasons. I think Alomar was gone by then, was he not? Blue Jays hero, 92-93 World Series, but I think by the turn of the millennium, he was gone. We could look it up, of course. Yeah, there you go. Tuna isn't the best producer in the business for no reason. He just looked it up. Robbie Alomar was already gone to Cleveland by 2000. So this is the best teams from 2000 to 2024. And some people really like the argument. Some people really don't. Rich in Edmonton says, Marcus Semien. I would take that. Colt in San Diego writes, and he says, I'm excited to see the Vernon Adams Jr. and Dominic Rhymes connections again. So happy to see Dominic Rhymes joining Calgary Stampeders and reuniting with Vernon Adams Jr. Tuna's changing his answer. Aaron Hill. Oh, did you see the viewer write in? North Texas Mean Green writes in and says, Aaron Hill at second base. Aaron Hill is the second baseman for the Blue Jays all-quarter century team. Again, it is impossible keeping up and on top of everything, so I pretty much stopped. But that's why I enjoy having you people to write in these things and participate in our questions and our polls. The guy writing in, giving me the news on the Bombers hiring Jason Hogan as their offensive coordinator. I wouldn't have had it otherwise. Way to go. Thank you. And these quarter-century teams, I get a bang out of them. I really do. The Panthers team here in South Florida was an interesting one. Matthew Tkachuk, Jonathan Huberdeau, Alexander Barkov up front, Gustav Forsling, Aaron Ekblad on the D, and Roberto Luongo in goal. We talked about the all-quarter century team for Vegas yesterday. They're only in season 7, but it's a pretty good team Vegas rolled out there, but with Aiden Hill in goal, not Marc-Andre Fleury. I get it. It's their team. They can name whoever they want, and he won. But I'm still hung up on Flower as the face of the franchise, and I still have this huge problem with the Utah Hockey Club completely ignoring the Arizona Coyotes and Winnipeg Jets 1.0 in their history book. It's their team that can do what they want. But I think that's karma that'll get them. I appreciate you, Scott White in Vancouver. You watch every day. He writes in regarding the Atlantic Schooners. He says the Atlantic Schooners are over 40 years overdue. I'm going to tell you what, guy, when the day comes that they announce the CFL's 10th team, we'll get you on the show, Scott. You might be 97 years old by then. You bring it up all the time, and I still hate talking about it because I don't think it's going to happen. Not now, but I appreciate you for doing it. Okay, thanks to the Motor City Mad Mouse, Scott Morganroth. Thank you to Ken Reid. Most of all, thanks to you for tuning in and listening. We'll see you all tomorrow noon Eastern right here.
You screwed up, Clark.